My dear students, I am Professor S.V. Shrimali. Today we are going to talk on the chapter number 2, that is budgetary control. Thereunder we have already studied some illustrations on flexible budget. Today also we will study some example on flexible budget, and thereafter we will study the cash budgets. So let us understand this. This is the example number 5 on flexible budget. Thomas Cook Limited, Tadagaon provides the following cost data for a 60% working capacity, from which you are required to prepare a flexible budget for the production at 80% and 100% capacity level. There has been given current production units 600, selling price per unit 300, process material cost per unit 100, productive wages per unit 40, prime cost expenses 10, total works overheads 40%, fixed 40,000, and total office selling and distribution overheads 30,000, that is, and thereunder 50% is variable. So we have given the information of 60% capacity levels, but we have to calculate for 80% and 100% capacity levels. So if you can see here, they have given the prime cost expenses, productive wages and works overheads. We have to solve this example according to cost sheet method. So let's solve this. This is our whole format for flexible budget. At the center, upper side center, you have to write in the books of Thomas Cook Limited, Tadagaon, and normal capacity at 60% flexible budget. So in this given example, there are some prime cost elements that are, if you can see, process material cost per unit 100 and productive wages per unit 40. So these are our prime cost elements. Thereafter there are some prime cost expenses as well, rupees 10. These three will constitute our prime cost. Then under factory overheads we have total works overheads 40,000. Thereunder 40% fixed and remaining 60% are variable. Then thereunder, after the selling and office distribution overheads, we have total office and selling and distribution overheads, that is 30,000, wherein 50% variable and 50% fixed. So now while solving this example, we have given units as 600 and the basic information for 600 units, and we have to calculate for 800 and 1000. So first the element will come as process material cost, which is the prime cost element. In our example, it is given as 60,000, which we have calculated by multiplying our units into the per unit cost. So it comes as 60,000. In the same way, we can calculate it for 800 and 1000. If you multiply the units into per unit cost, we can calculate it for 800 and for 1000 units as well. So for 800 units it comes as 80,000, and for 1000 it comes as 1 lakh. Now then next is add productive wages. There has been also given some productive wages which we will add for calculating our prime cost. For 600 capacity level, they have given the productive wages per unit. By multiplying the per unit cost to total units, we can get our productive wages. So it comes as 24,000 for 600 capacity level, 32,000 for 800 capacity level, and 40,000 for 1000 capacity level. Then prime cost expenses, which are given as rupees 10, so per unit rupees 10. So we will multiply the units into rupee per rupees rate. It will come as 6,000, 8,000 and 10,000. All these three are prime cost elements. So here is our prime cost, that is addition of all these three expenses. For 600 units it comes as 90,000, for 800 it comes as 1,20,000, and for 1000 it comes as 1,50,000. Then to the prime cost we add our factory overheads or works overheads. So in our given example, total works overheads are given as 40,000. Therein 40% are fixed. So if you calculate 40% of 40,000, we will get 16,000 fixed. As fixed overheads remains fixed irrespective of production level, it remains fixed for all the production levels. That is, for 600 it will be 16,000, again for 800 16,000, for 1000 it will be 16,000. Then there are some variable portion, that is 60% will be variable. Out of 40,000, 24,000 comes as 60% of variable. As you know, variable cost in total varies, but in per unit it remains same. So in total it will get vary as per the production level get increases. You can see this is increasing as the production gets increases. And this comes our works cost. So when we add prime cost to the works overheads, we get works cost. So 90,000 plus 16,000 plus 24,000, we will get 1,30,000. Same in case of 800 and same in case of 1,000. This is our works cost. Then there are some office and selling and distribution expenses. These are 30,000. Therein also 50% is fixed and 50% is variable. So the fixed portion will remain fixed irrespective of the production level. Hence it will be 15,000 for all the levels. And in case of variable, remaining 15,000, it will vary according to the production levels. So as we have given 600 units capacity level, it remains same 15,000, but when we increase the units, it will get increased by 20,000. Again, if we increase the units to 1,000, it again gets increased by 25,000. In this way we have calculated our office, selling and distribution expenses. And after that, addition of all these expenses will constitute our total cost. Till works cost, we have already added prime cost elements and of works overheads. So to works cost, we add only our office, selling and distribution expenses. So 1,30,000 plus 15,000 and 15,000, it will come as 1,60,000. Then for 1,68,000, we will add 15,000 plus 20,000. It will come as 2,03,000. In 2,06,000, we will add 15,000 and 25,000. It will come as 2,46,000. As you can see in the example, there has been given selling price per unit, which is 300. So if you can see, we can also calculate profit as there is given selling price 300. By multiplying selling price per unit into units, we will get the actual selling price. So 600 into 300, 1,80,000. 800 into 300, 2,40,000. 1,000 into 300, 3 lakhs. And while deducting selling price, total cost from selling price, we will get profit. So for 600 capacity level, if we deduct total cost from selling price, we will get 20,000 profit. For 800 it is 37,000, and for 1,000 it will be 54,000. So in this way you can calculate this example cost sheet basis. You can also add column of per unit if it is demanded in the example. Otherwise you can keep it with the total cost. Thereafter, now let's move towards the next, that is cash budget. What is cash budget? As you can see, cash budget is nothing but it is a summary of cash transactions. Whatever expenses are incurring by the organization and whatever they receive against that expenses, all the summary of such transactions are included in the cash budget. So what is it? Cash budget is the forecast of cash position for a particular period. It denotes the forecast of cash position, how the company has maintained the cash balance in their organization, whether they are spending their money morely or lessly, or whether they are in a profit position or not. It represents the cash requirements of the business during the budget period. you can see the word budget denotes there has been the summary of cash transactions for some particular period. Budget is prepared for some particular period, hence it shows the requirements of cash for the business only for such particular period, say for 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, etc. It is a financial budget prepared after the preparation of all the functional budgets. So the budget is prepared after preparation of all functional budget. All functional budgets means after the preparation of production budget, marketing budget, sales budget, etc. Because all these budgets cannot work without coordination and without the cash budget. Hence all the requirements from all these functional areas are calculated first, and thereafter at the end a master budget of cash budget is prepared. What the definition says, it is an estimate of receipts and payments for each month or any other relevant period forming part of the entire budget period. So you can see it is an estimate of receipts and payments for each month. Alright. Now we will move forward to the example through which we can understand the cash budget in more better way. So let's move towards the example number 1. This is the example number 1 of cash budget. Prepare a cash budget for 3 months ending on 31st/3/2020 from the following particulars relating to Bharat Forge Company Limited, Bengaluru. There are months given from November to March. There are credit sales, there are purchases, and there are wages. 40% of the credit sales will be realized in the month following the sales and remaining 60% in the second month following. This is very important to understand. 40% of the credit sales will be realized in the month following the sales. Following the sales means what? In which month the sales are executed, the realization will be come in the next month, that is following month, yani in the next month, and remaining 60% in the second month following. In the second month following means what? In which month the sales is executed or the sales are executed, 2 months after that month 60% amount will be realized from the debtors. The creditors will be paid in the month following the purchases. So we will pay to the creditors in the month following the purchases means what? In which month we have taken the purchases or made the purchases, and the next month of that purchases will be our payment month. Interest of rupees 5,000 will have to be paid in the month of February. Income tax of rupees 15,000 will have to be paid in the month of March. Wages are paid in the same month, and there is opening cash balance on January was 20,000. Before solving this example, let us understand here that the months are ended on 31st/3/2020 and we have to prepare cash budget for 3 months. So it should be for January, February and March. So we will prepare the cash budget for 3 months. So let us understand how to prepare it. So this is our cash budget in the books of Bharat Forge Limited, Bengaluru. Cash budget for 3 months ending on 31st/3/2020. So there will be 3 months, January, February and March. There is a opening cash balance in January which is 20,000 as it is given in our example. See, you can see in the example at the last line the opening balance of cash was rupees 20,000. So it is rupees 20,000. And to this opening cash balance, whatever receipts are there, we will add the receipts, and if there are some payments, we will deduct such payments. So in this example, there are some receipts from debtors, that is from credit sales. There are some collection from debtors which is 40% of credit sales and 60% of credit sales. For 40% of credit sales there is 1 month credit, and for 60% credit sales there is a 2 months credit. We have drawn a working note for this. Let us understand. See, this is the working note for credit sales. For months November, December, January, February, March, there are credit sales Now if we calculate the credit sales into 40% and 60%, we will get 40,000 and 60,000 for November month. As we have seen, there is a 1 month lag for 40% credit sales. That means the payment is done in the next month. And for 60%, remaining 60%, the payment will be done after 2 months. So for November sales, the payment will be done for 40% in December. You can see we have taken 40,000 in December and remaining 60,000 in January. In the same way, for December, we have calculated 40% and 60%. 36,000 will be paid in January and 54,000 in February. Again, same for January, 44,000 in February and 66,000 in March. Then for February, 24,000 in March and 36,000 in April. We have not taken another months of April etc. because we have to make only budget for January, February and March. So we have the figures for January, that is 36,000 and 60,000. Again we have the figures for February, 44,000 and 54,000, and also for March, 24,000 and 66,000. We will put this figure in our example. So you can see 36,000, 60,000, 44, 54 and 24, 66,000. So we will make addition of this collection from debtors. It will comes as 96, 98 and 90,000. Then after, there will be total receipts. How to calculate this total receipts? Cash, opening cash balance plus actual receipts. So for January we have 20,000. So 20,000 plus 96,000 will come as 1,16,000. Thereafter, there will be some payments. Creditors for purchases 1 month credit. Again we will go to the working note. So for purchases, again 1 month credit is there. So for November purchases, we will make the payments in December. For December, we will make payment in January. So you can see November's payment 80,000 is paid on December, 70,000 is paid in January, 1 lakh is paid in February, and February's payment 95,000 paid in March. But for our purpose, we just have to take 3 months, January, February and March. So for January 70,000, February 1 lakh, and for March 95,000. Alright, understood this? Then interest payment is there 5,000, which is paid in February. So in column of February we have paid 5,000. Then there is income tax of 15,000 which is paid in March. So we have paid it in March. For wages, they have told us wages are paid in the same month. So whatever the wages in the example which are paid in January are paid in January itself. So 4,500 in January, 5,500 in February and 7,000 in March. Now we will make total of all the payments. So 70,000 plus 4,500 will be 74,500, and same for February, that is 1 lakh plus 5,000 plus 5,500, it will be 1,10,500. Then for 95,000 plus 15,000 plus 7,000, it will be 1,17,000. Now how to calculate closing cash balance? Because we have to calculate the closing cash balance as there is opening cash balance given. So by deducting total receipts from total payments, we can calculate our closing cash balance. So for January month, we have total receipts as 1,16,000. We will deduct total payments of 74,500. We will get cash closing balance as 41,500. Now the closing balance of 1 month will be the opening balance of another month. Hence closing balance of January will be the opening balance of February. So you can see here for the February month there is a opening cash balance of rupees 41,500. Again same way we will add this 41,500 to all the receipts, and there will be total receipts of 1,39,500, from which we deduct the payments of 1,10,500, and at the end we will get the closing balance as 29,000. So this month's closing balance will be the opening of next month. So in the March you can see 29,000. Again adding total receipts, we get 1,19,000 minus 1,17,000. We will get the closing balance at the end of the March will be rupees 2,000. So this whole summary shows In 3 months, you have at the end of the month, after 3 months, the closing balance of 2000 in your hand. Alright, have you understood this? Please practice at your homes. Thank you so much. You have to practice it at your home. We will see another examples in the next video. Thank you once again.